You're tuned into United Colours with India on Rukus Avenue Radio, Dash Radio. VIK TOREUS here, your DJ Mixmaster, your host for United Colours with India. We are now moving into our interview segment this week. Now, we have a very, very special guest, someone I've been wanting to interview for a very, very long time. This is going to be a DJ on DJ chat, and also being a DJ myself, someone I've been wanting to speak to for such a long time. So I'm just going to give a brief introduction before we invite her. For those of you on IG Live, you can see her now. She'll probably give you a quick wave. So she's, just to give you a bit of background, she's Indian, originally from the UK, now based in New York City. She's toured all over the world, the US, Europe, Asia, Africa. She's best friends with some of the most skillful DJs in the world, like DJ Jazzy Jeff, Scratch Bastard, A-Tracks. She's played at some of the hottest clubs in the world, like, Tau, Las Vegas, Live, Miami. She shared the stage with some of the world's biggest A-listers. She was previously voted London's best club and bar DJ, just like Martin Too Smooth, who we had on a show a few weeks back. She's the kind of DJ that even Serato would call her up and ask her to drop a set. And, people ask me, who's my favorite DJ? Vic, you're a DJ. Who's your favorite DJ? Well, this is one person who's definitely almost at the top of my list. DJ KAYPER, welcome to United Colours with India. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, good. I have to have those cliche air horn signs now. All right, awesome to have you. So let's get straight into it. The first question I have to ask you is, when will you officially become the official tour DJ for Janet Jackson? Because every time I see you performing on your live streams, you've got a Janet Jackson t-shirt on, you're playing Janet Jackson, you're doing all these cool tricks, Have you met Janet Jackson? Are you her tour DJ? If not, would you want to be her tour DJ? I think you'd be the best fit for it.
No to all those answers and all those questions. No, I've been a fan of her since I was like a child. When I was like 10. When she did the Janet tour with like That's the Way Love Goes and If and all that. It was like 1994 or something.
Oh, okay.
And then since then I saw like her all of her tours after that. And so I've been like a massive fan since I was a child.
Yeah.
And I just happen to know a lot of people that know her, but I've never met her. I know her DJ. And I met him a couple of years ago at Jazzy Jeff's house, and I saw him walk in and I ran over him like such a dweeb. I ran over to him and I was like, "Oh, you Janet Jackson's DJ?" He found it really funny. But yeah, he just happens to be one of the nicest guys ever. And
right.
And yeah, so no, I wouldn't like to be her DJ because I'd probably just freak out every single time. It wouldn't be great for her.
Get starstruck. Starstruck. Oh, I think you should so do it. I think you'd be like a perfect fit for it. So, maybe when her official DJ is sick or something, hopefully they give you a call and you can just jump in, Fingers crossed.
I did tell Active, I was like, if you're ever sick, I'll do a little guest thing. But yeah, no, I can do it. I can do it.
Yeah. Okay, so just getting into it. So we are a South Asian fusion music radio station, Rukus Avenue Radio, and I know previously you were in the quote-unquote Asian music music scene. You're doing things on radio, and you were doing sort of Asian club nights back in the day, and you'd interviewed some big artists like the Jay Seans and the Raghavs out there. And I just want to know, with Asian music today, Indian music, whatever you want to call it, Brit Asian, Bollywood, Punjabi, does it still inspire you? Do you still listen to it? Does it give you ideas for projects you're working on?
The truthful answer to that is no.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate it. I was in a situation with a very famous radio station a little while ago where some of the things that I had to play weren't necessarily what I wanted to play, and I would have to find ways to incorporate those tracks into my style of DJing and my sets. And I found a new, almost like a little mashup genre of like just playing like Indian like fusion beats with like my own kind of style, and it just became a thing. So I enjoyed that, but since then if I can be honest, I haven't really listened to anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we all know that you were born and raised in London, UK. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And now you reside in New York City. So just tell us about that transition. When did you move to the US, and why did you move to the US?
So I moved here 4 years ago. I I was coming over here to tour probably another like 10 years before that. I'd say 10, maybe 12 years before that. But I moved here 4 years ago because I got married. I
Oh,
got
okay.
married to an American, and his job is in New York. He's been here for like 12, 15 years or so. So that was one of the reasons why, one of the main reasons why I moved here. And just, just to change it up, really. Just, see what would happen. I was already working a lot here, so I thought, let me try it out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll talk about that in just a few moments because I know you're killing it out there. But something I wanted to speak to you about was something you posted, I think it was on your Facebook or Instagram last year, towards the end of last year. It was quite a deep, a long, deep post about your what you'd been through as a rising DJ, and you talked about your challenging times, and you even mentioned some of the kind of stereotypical remarks you had received over your career and the quote unquote Me Too moments and things like that. So I wanted to ask you, just based on that, what would you say, if you could pick out one thing, what would you say has been your biggest challenge coming to be this kind of superstar global club DJ and music producer? If you could rule out one thing, what would you say is your biggest challenge? Because when people see you, they don't always see the kind of quote unquote sort of cliche, super cool, confident male DJ on a stage, like, a David Guetta, Calvin Harris, but you're really good at what you do. So, and you mentioned in the post, you went through many challenges, but if you could pick out one thing, what would you say that is?
I would say the main thing is just to be accepted as just as a DJ that people like. I guess when people talk about um, DJs that are male, there's never the talk about how good they are or whatever. It's like, okay, cool, like this person's cool. But I always get like the little category thing of oh, KAYPER, she's really great for a female, and I'm like, no, I just want to be just want to be one of the guys. So I just want to be known as a good DJ. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter if I'm male or female. A good DJ is a good DJ. So yeah, just kind of being accepted and not being put into a subcategory of female DJ just to describe me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, there was a woman DJ who posted something similar to what you had said back in December last year, a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about their struggles. And that particular DJ actually comes from the Asian music scene, and she was saying how everyone was sort of not really giving her a chance, or just assumed she didn't have the skills or the confidence. And I replied back to her, and because I really admired what she said, and I think this idea of kind of female DJ, non-DJ, or woman DJ, or whatever it is, should just be scrapped. It should just be DJ. That's the way I see it. You should get booked for your skills and your experience and how good you are. And is there any advice you can think of at the moment for anyone who is aspiring to do what you've done, to become like this, this successful DJ, who, a woman that wants to follow in your footsteps or follow a similar line? Is there any piece of advice you can give?
Yeah, I would just say just concentrate on being a good DJ. Don't worry about, I've seen a lot of girls describe themselves as female DJs, and I feel like I come from a time where it wasn't very acceptable to be female, and it was just a lot of, just a lot of hate and stuff. And so when someone says female DJ to me, it brings back like these, crazy memories. And yeah, I just think girls just need to stop with calling themselves female DJs and female this and female that, because if we don't, then no one else will. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I hate, like, if someone hits me up and asks me to do like an all-female this, or like all-female event, or all-female like live stream or whatever. It's not it's not because I don't want to support females. It's just I don't feel like we need to be in some like little subcategory. You know, if you're good, you're good. You know, everyone, we can mix it up. It's fine. You know,
Yeah.
this isn't like football. You know, where
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
a girls team and a boys team.
girls team, boys team. Well, I think it's so awesome that, you know, promoters, venues and bookers, they're booking you, you know, not because you're the Paris Hilton DJ or whatever you want to call it. They're booking you because you are generally a very good DJ and very skillful at what you do. And there's a lot that you can do that many other club DJs across the country can't do. So, you know, I think you should feel very proud of that. Um, Something else I wanted to ask was, when you perform, so I take it for most of the sets, you're a headliner. So when you walk into these clubs, let's say Live Miami or whatever it might be, and you're headlining and there's a warm-up DJ, do they still give you that kind of look like, oh, you're the headliner? Like, you know, or is it, have they come to know you as a household name and they show more respect?
Yeah, not so much anymore. There was one occasion not too long ago where I was booked to do a show in, I think it was somewhere in Texas, I think it was Houston or something.
Mm.
And and they had like a because I think they had booked me off word of mouth, or someone had said, oh, you should definitely get her or whatever. So I think that they had a guy on standby, just in case like I fucked up and I go, ooh,
Wow. Yeah. No, that's
just
okay.
in case,
Yeah.
just in case I messed up and I couldn't handle it. And then I went in there and I just did what I did, and it was a sick club as well. Like everyone was like proper up for it, and it was a really good time. And so I was feeling it, so I was like really going in. And then they told me that after, and it just made me laugh. But since then they're like, well, you're the only one we're gonna book, and I'm like, oh,
Wow.
nice.
Yeah.
But it, you know, it doesn't have to be like that, you know.
Yeah, that's crazy. They actually had someone there just as a backup. You know, that's, yeah. I mean, hopefully when you play there afterwards, they didn't need that. But you know, in the US, you hear this term, especially in the Vegas clubs, like DJs getting pulled. You know, because you know they're not performing up to the scratch, or the manager isn't liking it. You know, I've not really seen so much of that in London for a while, but it's a real thing there, isn't it? Like if you're not delivering, they'll just pull you, like take you off stage.
Yeah, I think so. But to be honest, I haven't really experienced it. And I think I've done enough here for people to know like who I am, and I think I have a certain reputation. So it doesn't happen to me as much. I know Dave, who owns Live Miami. I know he's notorious for that. But
Dave Rodman.
yeah. But he loves me, and
Oh, okay.
luckily he loves me. So like no, like when I'm DJing, nobody talks to me. No one asks me to do anything. No one asks me to play a certain track if like someone, you know, buys this table or whatever. It's like they just let me do my thing, because you know ultimately like he's also someone that respects DJs as well. I think that sometimes he may get into situations where, you know, I don't know. It might be I don't know. It might be different for other people, but for me, luckily, he hasn't pulled me off.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very influential person in Miami, right? So it's good to be on his in his good books. So yeah, well done on that. And you know, I got to say that there was a time way back where I think you might have said before in previous interviews that you know it takes you a while to build up your confidence, or maybe growing up you were a little bit shy. But now you know you see this confident woman who's just killing it on the decks. And for all our listeners, I got to say, KAYPER is a bit of a boss, right? So check this out. I heard a story, and this is going back a couple of years ago when Chris Brown and Drake had this beef going on. And I heard that when that was happening, obviously they didn't quite like each other. And you were DJing in a club in Los Angeles, and I think Chris Brown said something which you didn't like, and then you just played a Drake song just to kind of rub it in his face. And
no, that's not right. So that's not what happened.
Okay, sorry. Okay, what's the story?
I had flown from London to LA to do that gig that day. It was my first show of like a tour around the US or whatever for that leg of, you know, that time or whatever. And I had flown there. I was really tired, obviously, and and I was actually like, but one thing you got to know about LA clubs is it's kind of hard to get people to dance in those clubs. in the kind of bottle service.
No one dances in LA. Yeah, it's
No one dances.
Very showy.
And the fact that, you know, it's a lot of work. Like, it's not like the UK where, like, you know, like, people are having a good time if they're dancing, right? So I'm like there, and I'm actually doing good, and people are dancing, everyone was having fun, everyone's watching me, the camera's out, blah blah blah, all that. And then just, you know, it's typical LA club style, celebrity walks in, and it's like, that's it, like, okay, if everything is all about him. And I think he must have sat at a table with Reggie Bush or something, and then started ordering bottles and was going nuts or whatever, and got really excited and asked for the microphone. And he said, he like messed up my set, basically messed up my vibe, my like you know, when you got the dance floor, like, you're like, okay, I'm killing it, right? I was at that stage, he walks in, messes everything up. And then I start getting like a couple of promoters like, Chris Brown's here. I'm like, I don't care. Like, why are you bothering me? What's going on here? And then they gave him the microphone, and then he made me stop the music. And he wasn't doing anything wrong. He said, oh my God, it's a woman DJ or something. That really, it really like got to me at that point. So he was like, okay, said something. He's like, okay, drop something hot or something really cheesy like that. And I just happened to have Drake started from the bottom queued up. And I was like, all right, this is the biggest song right now, so whatever. So I play it, and then everyone starts panicking, coming up to the DJ booth like, oh my God. Next thing I know, I forget about it, go home, go to my hotel. Next thing I know, I wake up and I tweeted about it. And that tweet just randomly happened to become viral. And then I have, like, you know, all the, like, the E! News and and all of that. I had them contacting me the next day, or my agent. My agent calls me up and he's like, what did you do? What happened?
Yeah.
And then it got so far that, like, someone on Power 106, like a presenter on Power 106, interviewed him. I was like, what happened at the club? Like, what happened with the DJ? And he was like, I don't know. He was like, I was just like he didn't know why I did that. So I've never spoken to him since, so I would never be able to.
I found out because I saw that interview as well. It's from the Breakfast Club. I think it was Charlemagne and Angie. They asked him, and I don't think he meant it in a very offensive way. I think he was just having fun, and, you know, I don't think there was any bad intention there. Yeah.
It was also the time when he, you know, after all the Rihanna stuff happened. So for him to have had said that, it kind of like it became a bigger thing than what it should have been. And yeah, it was probably my fault, but you'll live.
Well, yeah, when I saw that, I was like, damn, okay, KAYPER's making moves. She's going, you know, it's a huge radio station, you know, picked up your name, and that's cool. But the other thing I was actually going to also talk about, so that's the US. So I also wanted to speak to you a little bit about UK music, which is, you know, it's really hot right now. You know, people in the US are taking more notice with, you know, music which is, you know, somewhat similar to drill and, you know, the UK Afro vibe. And, you know, we've seen more UK music transcend over to the US. What's your view in this? Do you see like UK hip hop becoming even stronger in the US, or do you think it's kind of reached its peak at the moment, its potential?
I think I haven't heard much about. I mean, it is a pandemic, and there's not a lot of people going out. And
that's true. Yeah.
Whatever. But I don't know. That's a tough question. You never know. I do know that here they do appreciate our taste. So, you know, I always get asked about like, oh, what's hot and like whatever. But I don't know. It's very hard to describe to someone in America what like Skepta is saying in a
That's true.
You have to explain everything. Like, so there's only so much. There's only so far it can go. I don't know. I honestly don't know. That's a hard question. I find
that the DJ community in the US especially DJs from DJ City and other companies, they are seeming to take notice. They seem to, push and support UK music to some extent, but whether the average listener and average party goer is connecting to it as much, I'm not sure. I mean, hopefully it does.
I think Afrobeat connects a little bit more than, I'd say, grime and all that. So
yeah.
So
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it's quite. Musically, it's not too far from dancehall and reggaeton and everything else, which is popular in the US. So, advice for upcoming DJs. You're obviously a very experienced DJ. You've done many things. You've toured the world, and I know there will be a lot of young male and female DJs listening to this. And, we both know as a DJ, there's many things to consider if you want to have a successful DJ career. There are your technical skills, your music selection, your musical knowledge, your branding, your social media, everything else, all those types of things. If you could pick, let's say, 3 or 4 of those things, how would you rank them? Like number 1, this should be the most important thing you should focus on. Number 2, and then number 3, do this. If you were speaking to like an upcoming or beginner DJ.
Number 1, you should do it for the right reasons. Don't do it because you want to be, some fashion Instagram person that, just wants to DJ. Do you know what I mean? Like do it for the right reasons. Do it because you really want to be a DJ, not because someone told you it was cool. Secondly, like have a clear idea of what you want to play or what kind of DJ you want to be. Whether that's an open format DJ or is it, house DJ, is it Afrobeat, what is it that you like? What is it that you want to represent? And, third thing is practice as much as you possibly can. And that's it really, practice makes perfect. Perfection takes time. And you have to trust the process. I think a lot of young DJs that try to skip steps, I think it will help. It will benefit you more in the end if you just take your time with it. Just learn everything you can.
Yeah. I mean, 2 key phrases that you mentioned there, I know we've heard many times, but practice makes perfect and trust the process. The reason why I ask that is because I still see many young DJs who are just spending their time on the gram, putting together videos and things like that, but they can't actually even mix properly, or they don't have as much of a musical background or knowledge in terms of the songs that they're playing. So they're kind of skipping steps, but you're absolutely right. Just
you want longevity in this business. That's the only way I believe you can do it. That's why you see many names come and go. It might be hot for a little bit, but they're not here in 20 years time. And that's
So today, what impresses you most about another DJ when you go to watch them? So let's say you go to a club on your night off or after a set and you watch a DJ. What is it that impresses you? To me, it seems like a very technical DJ would impress you because that's kind of like one of your key traits. Would you say that's true, or what impresses you when you see another DJ?
Technical does impress me, but I think to be a well-rounded DJ is more important because you could be the most technical DJ in the world, but if you don't know how to make people dance, then you've only got one side of things. I think it's best to work on all angles. But I enjoy DJs who everyone has access to all the same music these days, right? I enjoy DJs that play something that I don't know about, or like an edit that I don't know about, or they might play something in a certain way that I wouldn't have thought about. That's what impresses me. It doesn't necessarily need to mean that I only enjoy like going to see big names either. I've been to clubs where like I may not know who the DJ is, but that DJ might have done something that I would not have thought of, and I'd be like, oh wow, that's cool. That's a cool way to get into that track, or what is that track, or like what's that edit? I need to know, who is this person? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, those are the things that impress me, not just skills. There's so much more to being a DJ than just the technical side of things.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, absolutely. I can relate to that as well. I went through a phase where I was literally just really into remixes and mashups and edits. And then, I went out one night and I saw a DJ just play purely original music, but just the way he was mixing was just very original. And that kind of open my ears a bit more. And there've been occasions where I've seen DJs perform, just like you said, they're not really doing anything too technical, but the music selection, is just very, very on point, and it's music which I've not heard always before, and it's just the way it's put together is very clever. So
I think the music selection for a DJ is probably the most important out of anything.
Yeah.
It's that's where you need to start, to be honest. And then skills can come into there somehow, some way, but it doesn't matter if you're not like the best scratcher in the world, or if you can't do all these crazy tricks or whatever,
Yeah.
it's fine as well.
Yeah. So new music, I wanted to talk briefly about any new music coming out from your side. So I remember a few years back, there was one track you released, which I absolutely loved. And I'm not just saying this because I'm interviewing you, but I had this on repeat. I played it in my sets. I had this as my number one song that I would listen to before I went out. I don't know why, but I think it was the vocal in the track that really got to me. It was on my mind.
Out my mind. Yeah.
Out my mind. Sorry, out my mind. I absolutely love that track, and I love the vocal that you use as well. So, are you working on any new music? Do you have plans to release anything soon?
I do. I have been working on stuff, but not as much as I was before COVID, to be honest. Because since the lockdown and all this happened, I've spent a lot of time like figuring out how to be a live streaming DJ, and it's been a process, like just learning this whole new world of performing, and I've only really just got the hang of it. It's been like 6 months. Know what I mean? So I've spent a lot of time. I built this whole like streaming table, and had to figure out all the kinks and how what to do if something goes wrong. It's almost like learning how to DJ again and going to a club for the first time.
Yeah.
You got to know how to fix things on the fly, right? If you have a problem. So yeah, that's what I've been spending most of my time on, but I've been kind of working on music here and there.
Okay.
Do I have any plans to release anything new? I don't know. Everything is just all up in the air for me right now until I can figure out what's going on in the world. But
I think that's for many of us as well. But you're absolutely right. Live streaming has been a huge thing over the past several months. Since the pandemic started, and we're all starting from the bottom again. We're all getting our sort of live streaming hats on. We're trying to become sort of technicians and figuring out how all the wires and cables work and how Twitch works, which I know is a huge thing at the moment. But you're killing it with the live streams. I've seen you a number of times, and you're just going really in, and the quality of your streams is really good as well. So keep it up.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and the best thing about I guess the silver lining of this whole pandemic for me has been that I've been able to go back to playing all the stuff that I really, really love. Like, I don't think that I've played one track in the last 6 months that I don't love, which wasn't the case when I was DJing, traveling every 3-4 days a week to a different club. Because, a lot of times you have to please the club and the owner, or there's this or that. There's so many things going on, but this is like the first time that I can actually go back to being like me again. Like, the reason why I started DJing is to play good music, and it's been really fun. And I think hopefully you can see that in my streams as well, that I'm actually having a lot of fun. So yeah.
Yeah, you're there. You're drinking, you're chilling, and you're vibing to the songs. Yeah, it's really, really cool actually. Like, I can over the years I've kind of built this sort of impression of how of what your tastes are, and I can see it's obviously a bit of everything. But I know you really like obviously Janet Jackson, which you mentioned earlier. But you love your disco and your funk and your house as well, and your retro music and hip hop, and the way you just kind of blend everything together is really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm really just playing all the stuff that I have like either grown up on, or like that's one of the best things about being from the UK and being in a place like the States right now, living in the States, is I actually have the ability and the power to introduce music that we grew up on in the UK. Like, I can show, like, you know, I can play a garage set if I want. I could play a jungle set if I want. I could play a drum and bass set, you know, and I get to do that, like, you know, every DJ now. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the same position. I love to play music that I genuinely enjoy. And usually with DJs, it tends to be music which is not that popular, not that commercial, not really chart music. It's kind of edgy, cool stuff that no one else has heard of, but you just like to play and do what you want because it's your own live stream. So I enjoy that. I've really enjoyed that too over the last couple of months. Although I did have a very small social distance party that was booked for a couple of weeks ago, and people were just coming up to me asking for the usual requests. I was like, oh, back to square one again.
But see, I hope that if we ever get back to normal, which I'm sure we will, but it might take a while. But I hope that people remember, you know, how much music they may have discovered just watching a DJ live stream. You know, I know a lot of people email me. I get emails and messages and Twitch messages or whispers or whatever you about, you know, people saying like, I never knew about you. I never knew about this track or that track, or, you know, and thanks for showing me. And that's really cool for me, and I hope that continues when we go back to normal life. Like, if you're one of the people that went up to a DJ and asked them for a set, you know, like play, you know, this, the usual, this, that. Just think about all the stuff that you discovered during the pandemic, and just, you know, be like that.
Yeah.
Like that.
I don't know how we're going to do it. There's so much music we've all been going through, right, over the last 6 months or so. It's I think reorganizing our Serato crates is going to be a bit of a task, you know, when that time comes. But yeah,
to me, it feels like when I was doing radio, because I had to do the same thing. I play the same set every single week on radio, so I would basically I would have to come up with a new playlist or a new mix for certain feature on my show or whatever. And that was actually making me go out there and look for new music, you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm there again, which is cool. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, definitely check out our show, United Colors with India, because I get music sent to me from DJs and producers and artists from around the world, especially people in India. They're sending me some really, really cool stuff, some really cool Indian hip hop music as well. And I'm sort of blending in, mixing and mashing it with like world music and hip hop and everything else. So, you know, we're really trying on that front as well. And just before we wrap up, there's one question which someone DM'd me today about. It's sort of a cliche question, but I think it's quite a cool one nonetheless. They wanted me to ask you, Vic, can you... here we go. Vic, can you ask KAYPER what's the most annoying request she's ever received whilst playing?
When Chris Brown said play something hot.
Oh, okay. It was a Chris Brown one.
No. When what was the most annoying request?
There's probably been quite a few, right?
Do you know what is annoying? It's like a situation is annoying. Like if I'm playing, say I'm doing a hip hop night or something, and then there's that one random person is like, could you play some house or something? Like, do you know where, like, just look up the flyer or something. I don't know. Like, before that's what I do when I go to a venue. I want to know where I'm going, who's DJing, what kind of music I'm getting. But when you get those, like, you know, the randoms, the drunk people coming up to you and playing, asking you to play like something completely different to what the themed night is, that's annoying. But yeah, I don't know. There's probably loads of annoying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's so many. I mean, I'm even almost tempted to do like a whole podcast or interview with another DJ, just spending an hour talking about annoying requests. You know, I think that would be a good sort of a good therapy session for us, just to let it all out. You know, there's so many. So that's brilliant, KAYPER. Just before we finish off, there's one last thing that we do with all our guests. We have a very quick fire round at the end. So this is where we ask our interviewee a bunch of questions in succession, very quickly, one after another, and you have to say the first thing that comes into your head. So, for example, I might say London or New York City. You have to say the first thing that comes into your head, or I might say Bollywood or Hollywood, and you say the first thing that comes into your head. And, you know, it's just a bit of fun, just to end on a more lighthearted note, and also for our listeners to kind of learn a bit more and gain more insight in terms of, you know, who you are as a person and a DJ and artist. So, yeah, let's do this. United Colors with India, quick fire round. KAYPER, you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
That didn't sound too confident, but yeah, we'll make it happen. Okay, here we go. Quick fire round. Question 1. Priyanka Chopra or Gwyneth Paltrow?
Oh, Gwyneth.
Food in LA or food in New York City?
LA.
Who do you prefer? Disclosure from the UK or chain smokers from the US?
Disclosure, come on.
Stormzy from London or 6ix9ine from New York?
Stormzy.
Turntables or CDJs?
Turntables for me.
Needles or phase?
Needles so far.
Oh, okay. Live Miami or The Box in London?
Oh, come on. The box. The box.
Okay, these are going to get harder as we go along. Otherwise, it'll be too easy, right? Okay. The London Underground or the New York subway?
London Underground, for sure.
American football or soccer in the UK?
Oh, soccer? What? Soccer, I guess. Football, like real football.
Right. What is your favorite genre to mix live?
Disco.
What is your least favorite genre to mix live on the decks?
EDM.
What's the most random place in the world that you've DJ'd?
In the middle of the sea where a stage was built, and it was really weird because you had to take a boat to it. I don't know, I guess is that random?
Yeah, that's random. Yeah. I don't think many other DJs could say that.
Yeah, pretty much.
What would be your dream destination to DJ at?
Well, I don't know. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. I don't know. I've done a lot of things that I've loved. I don't know. I don't know.
And who would be your dream client to DJ for?
Janet.
I knew you were going to say that. So the next question is, if you had to choose to DJ from one of these artists, you can only pick one. Who would you choose? Janet Jackson or Prince?
Well, okay. No, okay. Well, Prince is...
If he was alive, of course.
Prince isn't alive.
Better pick one.
All right, Prince. Just because I think I've heard about his parties, and I think it's hilarious, and I want to...
And finally, give our listeners one word that describes you as a person.
Real.
Real. Great answer. Yeah. You might think some of these are a little bit silly, but actually I get feedback from listeners and they actually really love this part. It's because it's so random and unexpected. So thank you so much for doing that for us, KAYPER. We really appreciate it. So I know you're busy. I know you've got plenty of things to do, and I'm sure you're going to be working on another live stream very shortly. So for our listeners who are tuning in, make sure you check out KAYPER on Twitch and all the other platforms. She does some really, really cool live stream sets. If you really want to see a super technical and a brilliant DJ at work, KAYPER is the one to check out. Like I said before, she's probably one of the best DJs I know around, better than most of the DJs I kind of hang around with, and they know that as well. I've said it to their face as well. We're all very supportive of where she's come from. So KAYPER, thank you so much for being here with us on United Colors with India. And just before you go, do you want to tell our listeners about where they can find you, your social handles, your website, etc.?
Yep, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, at KAYPER Official. Also, you can watch my lives. I usually do them every Friday. I've kind of been trying to stick to the same day. So Fridays from 6 p.m. Eastern, which is 11 p.m. UK. And I have no idea what time that would be anywhere else in the world. I only know those two places. But yeah, so Twitch. You can also find my music on SoundCloud under KAYPER Official, and also you can find me on the Spotify under KAYPER.
Awesome. KAYPER, thank you so much for being with us here on United Colors with India, Rukus Avenue Radio.